Another episode of Strength in Silence, Sister Podcast.
Yes.
Listen, we are about to embark on June.
Oh,
it's our first episode for June.
Happy June.
Yes, June is Men's Mental Health Month. And so, in case you didn't know, you could wear a green ribbon or you could wear blue. So, we're wearing green and blue.
I have green pants on.
My pants are blue and right. So we are in the colors because we want to support our men this month.
Yes.
Father's Day is this month.
Yes.
We're excited because we're going to have a whole kickback for the men this month. Because a lot of times people say, you know, Mother's Day is a big thing and all the mamas get all the gifts and everything, but nobody does anything for the fathers. The devil is a liar. We love the fathers. We love our men. And so this entire month, and there are 5 episodes this month, so y'all even get a bonus episode, right? So this month there are 5 episodes, all surrounding men's mental health. We are excited to bring that to you. We've been talking about it for a long time, right? Okay, so first of all, heads up to all the daddies and the zaddies, the sugar daddies and the NutraSweets. Okay. Anywho, before we get started, shout out to Nikki. She's not here tonight.
Yes.
She's out and about. She's off. Gallivanting.
We love that for our girl.
Yes, we love that for her. So we're gonna hold it down. Y'all, we did a bomb recap of Sinners. We went to see Sinners on Wednesday.
I'm so mad. Listen, I'm still mad about that. That was such a good. I know.
It was an awesome. I mean, we went 85 layers deep.
Oh my gosh.
I think the good powers that be were like, okay, nah, y'all did a little too much teaching there. They're not ready for that, or that's just for y'all.
It was so like the tea was tea.
And it was supposed to be like, oh, we're going to do a quick recap. Man, we popped them chairs up in front of that Riga Theater in that lawn.
Yes, it was so pretty.
And we had such a good episode for y'all.
We was chilled back in them people's Adirondack chairs. Although I almost fell into it. But anyway, that's a whole other story. We're not going to talk about that. But so what we're going to do.
It was too good to be true.
It was too good to be true. So we're going to recap it again because everybody else done watched Sinners and y'all said what y'all wanted to say.
Yes.
So it's not going to be as amazing because Nikki's not here.
Yes.
But we still going to do justice.
And mind you, Nikki is the one that saw it the most.
Right!
4 times. This was her 4th time. She is pick, pull, round, and clean out.
You know what? That song. Poor Robin. Leave Robin alone. He already poor, and y'all just picking and picking and picking.
Oh, Robin.
I did see it 3 times.
Yes.
You said that first time.
It was my second time and her first. It was like 4, 3, 2.
So let me tell y'all the truth.
Sin of virginity.
4, 3, 2, and actually 4, 3, and 2. So what had happened was we decided we were going to go see it on Wednesday, and Jay was like, well, I'm gonna watch it this weekend because we have movie HD at the house.
Yeah.
So we watched it, and I was like, I wasn't ready for that. So I'm actually glad that I did see that because I hadn't read anything about it. I had no idea it was a vampire movie. Because let me just tell y'all, I'm a little scared. Okay, I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch horror movies. I don't do vampire movies.
They don't present it like that either.
But no, they don't. And so I was shocked, and I was fighting in my sleep for 2 nights, y'all. Let me just tell y'all how I punched my nightstand. Fighting in my sleep. That's a whole nother thing.
I think the reason why they didn't represent it about that because I don't think they were trying to make it about that. Right. It was so much bigger than.
Yeah, it was a reveal. It was like
yes. We're like, what the hell? Let me tell you, if this man does not win an award for this movie,
oh my God!
Like,
I was like, wait,
he did such an amazing job in this movie.
Even if it was just him, but to play 2 parts of freaky fright. What was that? Parent Trap.
I was like, wait a minute, ain't that But okay, can I tell you the real spill? I was like, oh, that's Michael B. Jordan. Oh, why I look like Tone? Shout out to Tone. Going to do podcast.
Tone wish.
I was like, why do I look like Tone? And then somebody was like, that looks like Steve Harvey.
Listen, I was like,
let me drink some tea on that.
Yes,
Anyway.
girl, man, listen, kids, cover your eyes. Cover your eyes, close your ears, cause baby, when I saw 2 Michael B. Jordans, I say, oh boy, immediately, where's my train ticket?
So let's shout out Winter Park Regal Theater
Yes.
with the reclining seats. I felt like I was in my living room except I had clothes on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, y'all didn't catch that, but anyway. I was in seat 10E.
We know she
okay. All day, all spent.
But yeah,
anyway,
the Regal has definitely upgraded. They had nice seats.
Yes.
They had a bar. I walked in, the man I was telling me like, oh yeah, you gotta try the watermelon margarita. They gave me a little glass and told me to take it to the theater. So I got there, the seat went back. I said, oh Jesus.
No, I like that little thing that went in. The train sliding in. To me, that was like, oh, I like this.
we not get out much because
we like, oh, this is nice.
I got in there. I was like, oh wait, how did they put that?
It's been a minute since I've been to the movie theater. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We gotta do better.
Probably a year.
We have to do
I'm
better.
telling you, we have movie HD at the house, so we could see what's in the theater, and I would
Don't be
prefer.
telling people that.
Oh,
Ooh.
just kidding, because
We
I
got
don't do
that.
illegal things. But I would prefer to watch it in my skivvy. But let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. So, first of all, there was a lot of symbology.
Yes.
There was a lot of that. I think one of the first things we talked about was the vultures in 2 places, right?
Yes.
And you
and
know,
I missed the second one, which was the crazy thing. That's what made me want to watch it again every time.
But let's go back for a second, because I still harping on the snake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the snake is also symbolism to a lot.
Snake?
The snake when the boy was going in the back of the truck.
Oh yeah. Came out.
Yeah, and
Like,
he
to
split
me,
it.
that's still right, because the snake represents a lot. I know me, especially in my dreams, when they say you dream about a snake, it's something not good coming towards you, right? So, and I grew up that way too, learning like the snake is always a bad thing.
And it's actually not
evil.
But yes, we were taught that. Absolutely.
I was taught that.
Mm-hmm.
So it always
if you were in
represents
church, you
evil.
definitely
Yeah,
were.
yeah. And they also say the devil was a snake,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that was, to me, that was a thing of like, okay, something's not gonna go right in this thing.
I heard that was the same, and it don't got nothing to do with sinners, but because of you saying that, I heard that was kind of the same thing with cats. Like, they said that a lot of people scared of cats, don't trust cats, thinks cats are sneaky, but it's because they don't really know, like, what the cat represents.
Exactly.
And so that's something that I was like, oh, well, maybe I need to educate myself on that, because every time I see a cat, I'm like, what you doing? I'm like, is this a disturbance in my spirit? You know, but
it stems from church. And most of us were raised on Christianity, which is Protestant religion, which is, a lot of folks don't even realize that Catholicism was the original Christianity, and all of these other religions that we have here are Protestant religions, like offshoots.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So even the Baptists and all of that, that's a Protestant religion. The original, so to speak, was Catholicism, and a lot of people don't even know that.
wow.
But a lot, if you think about it, a lot of our phobias, our fears, our thought processes are shaped around Christian beliefs.
Yep.
And
what we're told.
Christianity is not the oldest religion. I know, don't shout me down, y'all, but Christianity is not the oldest religion. Even the 10 Commandments are based on the 42 principles of Ma'at. But you know, folks don't want to talk about that stuff. You have to think about too, and we said this, that back in slavery times, they took what was our power, what was our religion, which really wasn't a religion, it was spirituality and our connection to nature, our connection to the Creator. And in those practices, we saw the Creator as the root of all things, of all life. And so we saw God in plants, we saw God in herbs, and we saw God in every aspect of of the earth, right? And so that's why you know what? Ooh. Well,
we're not gonna say what she said, but
no, that's real. It's
but
legal.
yes.
But you guys
Is that why they call it getting
high? Because not the weed, not this rapper, marijuana
like
stuff
real
that they use now.
homegrown,
But the original was used by indigenous folks. They did smoke, and it gave them downloads, and it connected them to the Creator.
To the earth, yes.
You ever talked to somebody and be like, man, when I smoke, I just get these thoughts, because not the stuff that we use now. It's been tampered with, it's been hybridized, and all that. But back to my point is religion shaped a lot of what we think. And so going back to the snake, if you do some research, you'll see if you kill a snake, it's actually bad luck. So they took the things that we knew as indigenous and tribal people, taught us that it was evil, and have been using it against us ever since. Now, ain't that something? They observed these tribes. Don't get it twisted. Don't think they just went over there and saw some ooga booga and then they just, no. They communed with these people. That's why they trusted them. We're portrayed now as as people with attitudes and all of this stuff, and we nasty and mean and we killing each other and all of that. But the truth of the matter is, that's how they got us, because we were kind, because we showed them how to farm, we showed them how to wash, we showed them all of these different things. They learned it from us and then flipped it on us.
We could talk about Thanksgiving meal. Like, they taught us, like, that's just a perfect example of what happened.
We taught them how to survive, right?
Exactly.
We taught them how to survive, and they took that knowledge, and then they killed and captured and all of that, enslaved and all of that type of stuff. So I think what is happening now, we're seeing like this great awakening, right? The age of Aquarius is an awakening. It's an awareness. And so folks are starting to come back to the original, to the Creator, to seeing the community, because that's the big thing. They separated us so much. We're divided so much that I be in another country and I see somebody that look like me and I be like, hi.
Yeah.
And they.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's the psychological operation. You know why? Because that's their fear. Us doing this, they so scared of that right now. Why you think all this division is black against white and this and that? Listen, the real spill is money versus no money.
Yeah.
Money and power.
And they see each other. You see, they even bringing the black cowboys and cowgirls back. They bringing the line dancing back. That ain't nothing new.
No.
Everybody like, where these line dances come from?
We been doing that.
No, this way it started. This was how everybody getting in touch with their spirituals. Everybody getting in touch with their black culture and like they ancestors. They getting in tune. We waking up. Everybody waking up now.
Absolutely, but I think this movie also opened that door to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a lot of that, because there was a lot of stuff on there that was just like, wow.
Yeah, and shout out to the director, because you didn't. It was not presented like that at all in no preview. And when you get there, like I said, it's a if you know, you know. Like if you don't know, you're gonna go in there and you're gonna be like, wow, what a cool vampire movie. You know? But if you know, you're gonna be like, this is deep. Like,
and that's why I saw it 3 times, because it was just like, there's parts of it, like when you first watch it, you watch the movie, you get parts of it and you're like, oh, this is great, right? But then you see it a second time and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that. I didn't see that. Oh, I get it. But then I'm watching it this time, like the full meaning, I don't know what's going on. The full meaning of it just was.
You don't want us talking about this?
Yeah, like
we finna talk though.
It's up too high, I gotta lower it. But the full meaning of it was just incredible to me.
And going back to those vultures, two times, right? So we know that vultures symbolize death. Whenever you see a vulture, so you know something dead somewhere, especially if they circling over a top, it's either dead or dying. So the first time we saw them, those 3 vultures were over the house when the Cherokees rode up.
Yep.
Right? And so if you don't pay attention, you're not even realizing that they were already circling over the house when the Cherokees rode up. So that means there was death already in the house.
Yes.
That man was already dead.
Yep.
Okay. The second time, they were circling over the juke joint.
The juke joint.
It was dark though. It was nighttime, and the way that they said it, like if you weren't paying attention, because the sky was dark too, and it was kind of like that two-part.
That's why I missed it.
Yes, because it's dark. It was like the darker part of the sky, and then the dark part, the top of the building. So I was like, oh.
They were sitting on. There was one sitting on there too. But you also saw them towards at the end too. At the beginning of when the light came up, you saw that. So yeah.
Y'all finna stop playing with us.
Yeah, listen.
You know what? Just dim it down just a little bit.
Energy. If you do it again, you already know. We said we already did this, and the whole SD card got corrupted.
Out of nowhere. Never happened. The camera cut off a billion times.
Listen, I am saging this house as soon as y'all leave.
Y'all, so what other themes did we see in the movie?
I know my favorite part for me was the music scene.
Yes.
And they started with Sammy singing the blues, and then the guy came in with the guitar looking like a little rock star. And then they had the tribal music, the African music, the ballerinas dancing, the hip hop, the twerking, like everything. I loved it. And the song just kept adding little things and little beats, but it was still like the same tune and the same drums, and everybody was on beat. Everybody was choreographed, doing like the same kind of thing, like it was like transitioning over the years, and I loved it.
From ancient times forward. Yes. And I just thought about this because we didn't talk about this, but listening to you explicate it that way, it made me think about how they were all intertwined, like they all appeared to be in the same space. And I believe one of y'all was like, I wonder if they did that separately or if they did it together. But my point to that is community. Right? We were talking about this community and getting back to community, and how they were all, that basic drum beat was really what was running everything. Whether they changed to the guitar or they did the ballerina music, it still was that basic beat, drum line. And then they were all intertwined in the same space, on the same frequency. Right? So that community, that we're all connected. And so we're looking at, in today's times where, you got black against white and this and this and that, and all of these divisions, when really it's the elite that have the money, the 99 or 95% that have, the 1% that have 95% of the world's wealth.
Yeah, literally.
That is so lopsided. So of course they're afraid of us unifying, because if we really stop to think about it, we'd be like, wait a minute. Why I'm fighting you? You struggling like I'm struggling.
But they also took away, if you think about that, they took away, back in the day, there was wealthy African brown people. Like there was black Americans, brown people, communities that was black, and they took a lot of that away from us.
Yeah.
They brown cities.
Yes.
And we were mixed. Like they were brown cities, they didn't want us to succeed and
jealousy.
And bombed them. Like all kinds
they
of
took
stuff.
away a lot of inventions that we made.
Bombed them.
Look at some of the inventions that we created. They took a lot of that away.
Exactly.
The United States dropped bombs on a black city.
Yes.
Simply because they were jealous or envious of the city based on a lie. And that's not the first time that they have murdered us and wiped us out based on a lie. And they knew it was a lie. And it's always the same lie. A black man looked at a white woman, or whistled at her, or looked at her sideways, or whatever the case it is. And so it's like, dang, They use the same lie over and over, but it's really bloodthirst.
Yeah.
They're bloodthirsty.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Like,
but you know what? At the end of the day, like, even when you think about the movie, no matter what, women are so powerful that some of these cities were bombed and drowned because of them. And that is why Stack and Smoke got in the situations they was in, regardless of how we look at it.
There was always a woman.
It was a woman.
a white woman. Let's keep it a buck. It was a white woman. And so I know this isn't going to go over well with everyone,
But the facts are the facts.
the facts are the facts. White women have been the upholders of white supremacy. If you go back and do some research
It's
and
true.
read some slave stuff, they'll tell you that some of the white masters were good to them. Good to them, slavery, okay? Good to them, but the white, what did they call them? Mistresses were evil. Capital E, capital V-I-L. And this is the way it is now.
But it's always been envy, though.
Let's go back to our corporate. What did I say in the corporate arena? Yes, there's a lot of white men, but there's also a lot of white women. And I'm just speaking from my own experience. I have had better experience with white men than I have with white women, because white women have said I'm intimidating.
Yeah.
White women said I'm too outspoken, or if I ask too many questions, I'm negative.
Exactly.
They've been the ones painting the portrait, not the white men. You know, maybe some people would venture to say that maybe the white men are fetishizing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Trying to put it down.
Yes, but I think you brought up the point, Dee, before about look who went out there. Let me go see if we can get some real money in the till.
Yeah.
Because she saw them as like her. Because she was passing. I mean, she had, you know, back then it was a little one drop rule.
Yeah,
or whatever,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that's kind of, ain't no kind of. One, she went out there, okay? And it was her idea.
Yeah.
He wasn't tricking her out. That was her idea.
And he said no.
And then how did all the bullshit start? When she came back in a familiar face.
Yeah, exactly.
Invited her
Just
in.
needed one.
And she was the first one, and she went straight
For
to
her man. Like,
Selfish.
the power man, the
Yeah.
power dynamic. She knew to get him first.
She knew she had to get Stack.
Exactly.
She went straight to Stack, and then that divided him and his brother.
Indeed.
She knew that she would never be able to get him away from his brother unless she turned him.
but you know what's crazy is that we talk about the power of women again. Remember when the Chinese woman, right? Because she was power, she was mad, she was upset. She invited them in.
Yeah.
Had she not invited them in, do you think all of them? I don't know. If
And that's actually like one of those little TikTok, Twitter debates they're having. Like, was she the hero or was she the villain? And a part of me feels like, you know, yeah, she caused a lot of shit by saying, like, come here, motherfuckers. And everybody had to get down and lay down. But as a mother, if y'all like, yeah, everything cool, but your son at the grocery store, don't worry about it. We'll get your son. Don't worry. Everybody got to get it. Like, everybody sending it about mine. So I'm not going to say she wrong, because I know a lot of moms that would have did the same thing, because I'm going there about mine.
Yeah, because she had already said F her husband.
Yeah, she had said, hey,
Like,
Bo gotta go, boo.
Yeah.
But Lisa, my daughter, you're crazy.
Yeah, especially the guy who played the villain. What was his name?
He who should not be named.
He should, I ain't saying his name.
Yeah, the
name, he definitely played that, right? Because that's what they do. You open the door, and this is the part that really stuck to me too, is that I was just like, wow, you invite this in, right? It invites you in. Remember, the whole theme of the movie is that you need to invite me in.
Yes.
Let me in.
Yes.
Right? And it's just like, and which I loved her part too, but she was just like, no, why do you need to be invited in?
Thank
But
you.
that was the theme part for me that caught on to me, was just like, damn, I invite this shit in. Every time I talk negative thoughts, every time I think. When you think negative, is the devil in your brain, right?
Trying to trick your mind.
So to me, that was powerful to me. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I gotta change my thought process of that. I gotta stop inviting that into my
Exactly.
space,
Exactly.
right? My home.
It was definitely educational. And like you said, with her, she was, and that was Smoke's wife. She was an icon. You know, she was everything to me.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, she didn't care who was on her side, who believed in what she was talking about. She knew what she was talking about. She knew what she believed in, and you either with it or you're not.
Exactly.
Smoke the whole time was like, oh, stop doing this fake magic stuff, blah, 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 this and that. That don't work. It ain't work for our baby. Soon as it's time for him to get his little necklace reboosted, he gonna let her pray over it, and then he still had doubt, and she was like, well, you still here with 2 legs that's working, 2 arms that's working.
Period.
Your brain work, you know, for the most part, because he's a man. But, you know what I'm saying? Your brain work and everything.
We ain't gonna bash them in their own mind, y'all.
Exactly. Love y'all, though. But, for the most part. But, you know what I'm saying? So, it just brought that, like, no matter what, like, as long as, you know, they say, like, somebody, you got a praying grandma at home.
Yes.
As long as you got somebody praying for you, then, like, you know, I would always say, like, build your personal relationship with, like, your creator, your higher being, or whatever you got going on, you know what I'm saying? Don't feel forced. But it just showed how, like, protected he was, even if he was, like, running away from it. She still believed and she still prayed for him, and she still made sure he was protected. And in a way, even though he didn't believe in what she was doing, he believed in her and trusted her. So he like, all right, I'll wear it. You know what I'm saying?
But and when you say that, the ironic part is what that stood out too was at the end. He took it off.
Yeah. She was
took it
gone.
off.
So he was like, I want to go with her. He wanted to go with her.
And he took it off. Had he kept it on, what was
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, but right before he went and shot them up at the end, shot the cleanup, he snatched it off.
Yeah.
And my thing is, he was like, all right, nah, I don't want to be protected. I want to go. If she gone, I'm going with her and my baby.
Yeah.
You know what? So, okay, let's circle back to that, because we were talking about snakes and Christian beliefs shaping how we think about things and how we frame things. So let's talk about her, because she was a hoodoo lady,
Yes.
right? And so she was the one that kind of saved the day. They didn't know what these things were.
Yeah, she was making them eat the garlic and everything.
Right. She was protecting them, but it wasn't by no gun. It was by garlic,
Natural.
pickled garlic, and going back again to those natural things.
Yes.
Which they still use to this day. You have a lot of Chinese remedies that are natural things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That are natural. There's this guy that I'm trying to go see just to give me some herbs and see what they are. Right?
Jay makes herbal teas.
Yeah, which was amazing. Right?
Yes.
So it's really, really good. To me, we're losing. For her to play that part was amazing, to understand how herbs, how natural things still play a part to this day.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Then it played a part, and to this day we play a part.
Exactly.
Indeed.
And I will say that I absolutely got to make sure that because I know I said it at the last one that didn't transfer over, but I really appreciate how they incorporated the Korean culture.
Yes.
And how they, you know, because it's true, a lot of them migrated from California and went to Mississippi, and that's how a lot of the Koreans ended up in Chicago. So it just depicted like how they, listen, minority is minority, so they were treated exactly like us.
Chinese,
you know what I'm
as
saying?
well.
Yes, exactly. You know
They
what
were
I'm
brought
saying?
here for the railroad to work on the railroad.
Exactly. And so it was even when they were doing the music and they was going to all of the dancing and the culture and the rap and the rock, they had the Chinese dancers as well, because they were showing like how important they were in this time as well. So I love that.
Yeah. And how they blended all the cultures. To me,
Yes.
it was just a lot how black and white. It was literally about culture.
Yes.
It was about culture.
Yes.
And that how it plays a role in shaping who we are, shaping each individual is and just shaping how the world is today.
And look how they all live together. I was shocked that the Asian folks on there, they didn't depict them with any Asian accent.
Yes.
They was country.
Yes.
All the same. They ran the store. They had two stores. Okay. And the daughter was looking out for them, but family.
Yes.
Because even now, if you go to the Chinese restaurant, matter of fact, I went to the one by my house and I was like, hey, did y'all change ownership? He was like, no, always same owner, family. So the younger ones done went on to college, and the rest of them done moved up now, and they taking over. But that's the thing.
That's how
family, community, and that was one thing that stood out to me in this town.
Really big.
Everybody was in harmony.
Yes, and
harmony.
everybody was looking out for each other. And I remember you saying that when I had brought up the fact that they was like, the man was like, all right, just give us Sammy and we could go. And they was like, absolutely not. Like, you can't have him.
No.
You know, and that made me remember back in like my days and my church days when like even when they would pray over you, they'd be like, devil, you cannot have him. Like,
that's
you can't have him. And so they all
that protection
stood in front of Sammy, and Sammy was gonna walk out like, all right, I like the blues anyway. My daddy said, cause message, Sammy daddy was a pastor. Let's be clear. Sammy read the Bible. Sammy knew the Bible. When it was time for Sammy to say, when it was time for Sammy to go, Sammy said the Lord's Prayer. So Sammy was very much a Christian boy, a pastor's kid.
He knew how to pray.
But as soon as that devil came knocking on the door saying, all right, just come to me. He loved music so much, and he was willing to rap for his family and his surroundings, because that was his first day. Even though he said it was the best day of his life, that was the first day he really was like there in that world, because he was so secluded at the church. So he was about to go, and they had already promised him, you know, the world and his music career and all of that, and they were like, absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? But still, at the end, Sammy still did his thing. But that goes back to what you were saying as far as like, you know, he was a Christian man, but then he got in tune with and like saw the world and learned more. And that's when I feel like Sammy was like, you know what? I can actually do both. I could sing the blues and be in touch with myself and believe in God.
Yes. Music is a universal language.
Absolutely.
And like I said, whether you don't have to know the language. Again, Michael Jackson went overseas and laid them out, literally and figuratively, right?
Yes.
They might not have spoke English, but that music, exactly.
Yes.
And so, frequency, because we did talk about like how in church, when you hear them gospel songs, you feel repentant. You feel like you're gonna cry, like I'm sorry, because of the chords, right? And we talked about music being based on mathematics. Okay? And if we go back to some of those religions that are upstate, the 5%ers and stuff like that, it's based on mathematics. Well, we can go, I ain't gonna go too deep this time because we don't want this one to get corrupted.
Not at all.
Right? But let's talk about the mathematics, the universe. Physics is based on mathematics. You understand what I'm saying? So if you understand the math, you can understand anything. And so those music 4/4 time, those beats and all of that, that's mathematics, and it's also energy and a frequency. And so I'm gonna go to this and I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want to get too deep. But first law of thermodynamics, energy is never created or destroyed. In the Bible, it said God wasn't born and God can't die. Okay, so the second law of thermodynamics says that entropy is always increasing in the earth. What does that mean? Chaos is always increasing. As much as there's peace, there's chaos. Why? Because the universe is balanced. Okay, it's all about... But I learned mathematics balances out. There's always going to be that because we live in a plane of duality and it has to balance out.
And I learned something today
Numbers lady.
Yeah, well, I learned something today too, which really was open eye to me, because everybody always thinks of 666 and they think of right. They think
Church taught us that was the number of the beast.
Well, it actually wasn't, right?
Not
because day 6 was the day God risen. Day 6, also 6 represents the 6 deadly sins, right?
It's 7
or 7 to 6, but there were six. Oh God, I said it wrong. Okay, let me back up. So 6 was the day he risen. 6 was also the day he died. Also, 6 represents all of the 6 worst things that we did here on earth, is what they said. So he forgave us for all of our sins here, but it also represents the 6 thorns that we did here on earth.
Okay, so I've never heard that. So you
yeah.
just taught me something. 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. We're going scientific, right? That is carbon. What are we all? Carbon-based individuals.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's melanin.
Science.
That's melanin.
Crazy is how science and religion always cross, right?
And then you're
It's
saying that
crazy.
you gotta be either or, but that is again taught.
So, but the mark of the beast, think about it. Again, let's go back to, okay, because we didn't touch on this time. The King James Bible, King James Version. Let me say that again. King James Version. Don't shout me out, y'all. Don't shout me down. King James, it was his version. Do y'all know that he wrote another book called the Demonology? Or they call the Black Bible or the Evil Bible. Did y'all know that?
I did not.
Okay, I'm gonna need y'all to do some research on that before y'all come shout me down in these comments. Because, this is the Bible that you were given by the slave master. Now, I'm not saying Christianity wasn't a thing. Remember, we already talked about that. But this is the Bible that was given to you by the slave master. It was King James's version, and he wrote a black Bible. Okay, and they say black is negative or wrong. It's not. Black is a very powerful color.
Yes.
It's not even a color. Anyway, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
But yin and yang. Let's think
Hello,
about that.
balance. This is the book that was given to you by your slave masters, and it told you 666 was the number, the mark of the beast. They say we're animals, do they not?
Yeah.
They say we behave like animals, and then they taught us that the carbon and melanin is the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need y'all to read and do some research, or ask ChatGPT, or talk to Google Gemini, or ask Siri or somebody, since y'all don't like to read.
Yes.
Please educate yourself.
Got to. And or because you educate yourself, do your research, or surround yourself with people that you could learn from. Because y'all see, if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll be quiet. Because I didn't know that. If the total come up to $6.66, I'm telling the cashier,
Add a penny.
And again, look it up, because I didn't quote it from
Yeah, let me get these shits right here. Put that on there. Put that on there. Try to art on me. I got enough shit going on.
Don't quote me verbatim, but I do. When I learned that today, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think about it that way, because we look at 666 as being, you know.
That's the same with the number 13. Do you know that most hotels and whatever don't have a 13th floor?
Yes.
I'm gonna need y'all to look up the number 13.
Yes.
Baby, we have been taught a whole lot of stuff, and we took it hook, line, and sinker and did not ask any questions.
Listen, this whole when they talk about Christmas and the Easter Bunny, come on, like be real. Like this is stuff that we taught down. Who makes up a fat jolly old white man? Like, come on now.
He said, you know,
Like-
they do listen, and then it puts you in a position as a parent where, because I honestly, I did Santa Claus for Legend, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to ruin his childhood, but at the same time, my son is like, girl, I'm gonna go along with it. Like,
I know.
Cool Christmas spirit, girl, but like,
It's a spirit
But
already.
we set it up for her. We set it up for the wrong thing, because we literally are giving them a false hope.
yeah.
Right? Because we're like, oh, believe in this guy who comes out and brings you some Santa Claus that brings you some gifts. And at the end of the day, they're just like, you lied to me. It's you.
Yeah, I
So we're giving them this hope of, oh, this is gonna happen.
I guess depending on how you do it, because mommy bought the PS5, baby. Santa got this and this, so that you don't go tell the kids to school ain't one. There you go.
You know who I called Santa? When I went to them angel, the angel tree people. Because I didn't always have money. Okay, when I was raising my children, it was a little struggle. It was 3 of them and 1 of me. Okay, and so when I went to the angel tree people, that was from Santa, but Mama bought you this.
Yeah, hello, that's it.
Cause Jay will tell you, my hard work ain't finna go to no fat man.
From mama. mommy, and it be big, mommy. Real pay that. Yeah, don't even play. But it is two things I wanted to make sure that we covered before we moved on to the next.
Yeah.
From when y'all were, and it reminded me because I'm looking at the red glasses and the blue glasses.
Yes.
So they were telling me something, and they were teaching me. Yes.
No, she was teaching us because I was like, what?
Very vaguely. We're gonna recap, and because I was so interested, it was one of those y'all ain't never seen me so quiet in my life. But I would love to know like what was representing the red pill and the blue pill for you.
Yeah.
And how was that represented in the movie?
Okay, Linda, I think you went first. First of all, Linda got the red glasses, I got the blue ones.
No.
Okay? The blue pill, first of all, blue is associated with the sky, with water. They say if you want to give some bad news, deliver it in blue ink. So blue is comfort. Blue is accepting this world and this matrix for just what you see, not looking any deeper, just being comfortable. Okay? Red is truth. Red is if you want to see through the illusion, this ain't this. We know it's the Matrix, Neo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We know it's X's and O's and boxes and zeros and ones or whatever. This is all a Matrix. This is all a simulation. That's what the red and blue pill is, right? So taking that as a layer deeper, right? We were talking about smoke and stack. One of them wore red and one of them wore blue. Who wore the blue?
Yeah,
you're right.
Smoke was blue.
Yeah,
Smoke was blue. And who was his lady?
His lady was the voodoo lady.
The voodoo, and she wore blue.
Okay, so Smoke wore blue.
Yes.
That was comfort. Going back to what we were talking about, going back to the original, that's comfort. That's taking it for what it is, for what you see. And now Stack had the mixed girl.
Yes.
Right? So Stack was on the red pill. The way he thought about things was totally different too. The twins were in balance, yin and yang, right? We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna close with that. Okay, so he was like looking at the truth. He was all talking about seeing through the illusion and seeing for what it is. Cause she came to him before she went out there and was like, okay, so you done stole from these and you done stole from those. Yes. And so we gonna need some real money. So let's go on out here. Yeah. And we did talk about the money and them coming with something novel.
Yeah.
Money that's from a old money. Yeah. Money from a different time, that gold. And gold has its own value.
Yes.
Its own value, its own energy, its own connotation. We're not gonna go into that because we don't want this to shut down again.
Hello.
Okay, so I even went a layer deeper talking about politics. Right?
You did.
Because the Democrats wear the blue ties, right?
Yep.
They're blue. They represent the comfort, the programs giving you food stamps and all of this stuff, but there's also deception involved in that. Then we talk about the Republicans are the red pill, or so they say. Now that's a dichotomy, and let's go into that real quick. So the Republicans are the truthers, right? They're not with the bullshit, right? They're like, this is what it is. You got to work hard. You got to do this. You got to do that. They're about the money and the wealth. Now, but here's the thing.
Power and greed.
Power and greed. If you're looking at the red pill in its entirety, the red pill tells you neither one of them shits. Both of them are the same. That's what the true red pill is telling you. That if you really thinking about this thing, the Democrats and the Republicans are the same. They get paid by the same folks.
Yeah.
That's our money. That's our tax money. There's no different.
We turn to one channel, watch the debate.
Okay. Listen, let's take it back, and this'll prove it, and I'll leave that alone. Go back to what's the name's funeral. Who did you see sitting there chatting it up, and they did not stop talking? You saw Trump and Obama. They supposed to hate each other, but they were just like this, chatting it up. Even Kamala turned around and looked at him and rolled her eyes. Even Hillary was like, "What y'all?" Hillary and Bill was over there like, "What's up?" And the entire time they were chatting it up like the best of friends. These people play golf together. Okay, these people work together. They vote together. They talk that shit, and then they go out together. You understand what I'm saying? So the true red pill is not the Republican Party. The true red pill is knowing that they're both and all the same.
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
And I'm not gonna go
That's
with
because
the
the division. They say that black people started Republican. So
did.
You did.
it once. I'm not sure. I
There was
don't
a
want to misspeak, but once there was a switch, then everybody just went on board, and now this is just the party that you belong to. So it's so many black and brown people who just Democrat because they mama Democrat. They Democrat because they daddy Democrat. They Democrat because black people Democrat. They have no idea the policies and procedures. And I would say like I'm so ignorant to like politics and the things behind it that I had to start educating myself because I was an adult when I realized like, why are they having this shit for me? Because I'm like, okay, I should know. I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, college, so I should know. I went to HBCU, so I shout out to FAMU. So I should know, but I didn't know like a lot of shit. And the crazy thing is, they talk about how bad TV poison you. But what
Programming.
But it's one of those, and we talked about this before about how they have to put things in front of you.
Indeed.
Marshall's law,
The universal law. They got to tell you what they're doing.
So I was in college when I started watching Scandal, and I was like, wait, so this was a distraction the whole time? I did forget that plane went missing because that happened, and you just never know. So it's just like the power of things that we use as entertainment or just use things to pass time. Like this thing right here.
Illusion.
Watch, she said that, they're going to be like, come to the Illusion Museum tomorrow at 4 p.m.
But the crazy part is men and the power of words again. You shouldn't watch the news first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's nothing but negativity.
It didn't used to be like that, though. It didn't used to be like that.
Really? Because to me, it was just always negative.
They're trying to do it like IDTV now. They want to make it cool.
The news was not negative. The news originally was informative. They changed it. I want to say it was in the late 70s or the early 80s. They changed it to sensationalize it. Do your research on that, because y'all know I go down these wormholes and binge on stuff.
I started to, because I was just like, what? Like, it's just...
It is negative now.
It's just negative, so I don't watch the news at all. Like, unless someone tell me, I don't watch it. And it's like the same thing with, like, when you go down these rabbit in social media, like, you sitting there 2 hours later, I was like, damn, I went down a rabbit hole, didn't even realize I did that.
You would lose it.
So, yeah.
Girl,
losing time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was in the hospital once for my blood pressure, and when the doctor came in, he did my little evaluation and he turned around, he said, and turn the news off. Like, you're here for your blood pressure. Why are you watching the news? And that was the most real moment. Like, he didn't learn that in no textbook, and nobody said that. But and he had already talked to me about like, hey, because he was a Hispanic doctor. He was so kind, and he said, we can't fight genetics. We can't beat genetics. So with things such as high blood pressure, we got to go the extra mile with making sure we get our exercise in and eating our greens and beans and working out and stuff. So he was like, we got to take that extra mile. So that was nothing but pure like, hey, the news don't say nothing good to us. Turn this off. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That programming. If you look at how they presented hoodoo, right? And a lot of us raised in the church would say that's witchcraft. But even the word witch, when you say witch. Yeah. So the name of my business is the word switch.
Right.
On my signs, it says the word switch, the words witch. And I do all types of I'm a vendor at all types of events. And when I've gone to events where there are Christian folks, there are some folks that be like, I don't get it. And they will not purchase from me. But let me just tell you, ask Google Gemini what the word witch means. Okay, do you know who they called witches? Outspoken, independent women. And so they called them witches and burned them at the stake. Those women that went against what the current ideology was, they called them witches and burned them at the stake. So Irish women, that's my heritage. Yeah. Irish women, redheads, they said that is the signature of a witch. But a lot of people don't know that Irish people practice tribal things.
Exactly.
And so what they were saying was, we don't need to go to the snake oil salesman. We don't need to go to the doctor. We got some tea that we gonna make. Or I can read these tea leaves and see this and see that, because the leaves came from the Creator.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
And so the signature of a witch was literally a group of people that spoke out that they saw as other, especially the women. Did you hear about men being burned at the stake?
No.
Unless they harbored a witch.
Exactly.
So
we gotta think about.
So there goes Anne, right? Anne, how she played a part in this because she was considered the witch.
A hoodoo, and that was my whole point. I named my business that to reclaim that word.
Yes.
Okay, the same way that nigga is used.
Yeah.
That we use that more of as a term of endearment when they meant hard ER.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? And if you really take that back, it goes back to negus, which meant king.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But now, people, well, you guys call each other that. We don't call each other hard ER.
Yeah, nobody says that.
We do not.
Nobody
Okay?
says that.
And so that's my point. We took that word that was meant to inflict harm and brought it back home and used it as a term of endearment. So for my business, the words witch, it was okay. It is about getting back to the original, getting back to the Creator, because I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in living in love, looking at people through love, the lens of love, and dealing with people in that respect. And so that is why my business is named The Word Switch, The Words Witch, because the words which come out of your mouth have power.
Yeah.
It's a play on words.
Exactly.
But Christian folks, I don't understand it. But yet, y'all, let me just say this and I'm going to get off of it. Y'all put oil on your forehead. That's third eye. Hello. What do hoodoo women use? They use oils. Y'all burn candles. Don't y'all have candles at Christmas time? Okay, you burn candles. Okay, you say you will recite things out of certain books. Psalms 91, 25, 36. Don't shout me down, because I know the book and we could go toe to toe. I was raised in the church. My daddy was a preacher, didn't raise me. But he was still a preacher. My mama was an evangelist. She raised me. I spent most of my time in the church, read the Bible front to back 4 times in 4 different versions and ways. I'm here to tell you that, guess what? So-called witches, guess what they use? The Bible. Okay? A lot of these rituals and things y'all do, putting salt here and all of that,
based off of some of the things in the Bible.
if you go look in the Bible, it will tell you certain incantations and things like that, y'all. So while y'all turn your nose up and say, at the word witch, you don't even know. Somebody told you.
Yeah.
That's what that meant. And so that's what we got to get back to. Educating ourselves. Don't just believe what somebody told you, what a preacher who elevated themselves on a pedestal. Because if you really believe in the word, it say ain't no man greater than another one. So why is he elevated over you? We're all the same. Research and reading, because I love books. But anyway, talking about the Bible, let's talk about these 7 deadly sins.
Yes.
Let's talk about that and close this thing on out.
Yes. So as you all know, TikTok, Twitter, social media, the world has been going crazy over sinners. So they have directly related it to and said that a lot of the cast members represent the 7 deadly sins.
Ooh.
So I got it pulled up here. So I'm going to see if my sisters know or can guess what the world chose as far as which character represented the 7 deadly sins.
Okay, so you're gonna put it out there and then we're gonna say what we say and then you're gonna say what the
you're
world
gonna say
says.
each one what?
I'm gonna say sloth and then
Okay.
y'all tell me who y'all think it was.
Okay.
So who was the sloth?
The big boy. What was his name?
Cornbread.
Cornbread.
Yeah, because like we talked about earlier at the beginning of the movies, how he was just like, oh no, I gotta get this done. I'm already behind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when the middle part where he went out to go when he came back after he had gotten caught, he was just like real slow about like
yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
And then one of the twins was like, and he left you he went to do what? And how long he been gone?
Yeah.
That didn't seem like it was a new thing for him.
Yeah, exactly. They like really.
Okay.
So it just turned out like, okay, cornbread again. But yeah, that's what it says. It says the sloth is cornbread.
Okay.
It says, let's start with the obvious one. From the moment we meet cornbread, he's slacking on a job. He even tells Stack that he's behind in quota, like he said, when he picks him up from the fields. He has the laziest jobs of anyone on the crew, sitting at the door of the club. And we all got one of those where we like, he good for something. Just put him at the door.
And let's talk about this right quick. His wife, listen, Buddy said, I got enough money to make your woman put your and listen, I was like, he was like, this is my wife and I'm a woman. She was like, wait, how much?
How much?
So apparently he wasn't on top of his money game because she was like, what it make me put my wife
was in the plantation. 9 months pregnant out there.
Okay, and I'm pregnant. How much? Okay, you got it. What's next?
So what is gluttony? Who was gluttony? And this shout out to Matty Pipes on Twitter. He was the one that collected all of the
gluttony is
data.
greedy, right?
Yeah. I think it was Stack's girl.
Okay.
The mixed breed girl.
Okay,
I was gonna say the Caucasian man that sold him the place in the first place. Because they had an agreement. They gave him the money, but the whole plan was for them to get the money and then come back and kill everybody and burn the shit down.
I didn't think about that, but I just think that was just hate and that was just part of the yeah. But I think it was her. I think she was greedy.
Yeah.
You think she was greedy?
I think so. I think she was trying to steal. Look, think about it, right? Because she went out there, she was like, it was about the money, right? It's about the money for her.
You know, I thought
she was helpful. She was trying to help them get to the money because.
But she also was trying to break up the brothers. Trying to get him for himself.
She got bit, but the whole reason she went out there is because remember when they was counting down, they had the plantation money. We didn't even talk about the wood nickels and what that means. We don't take no wood nickels because it was fake money. These colloquialisms come from somewhere. But anywho, but they had plantation money, they had real money, and they said by the end of the month we gonna run out of the real money. That's why she went out there. She was like, y'all gonna run out of money, you gonna need money. That's why let me go out here and see what they talking about.
Okay, so I'll take that back. I think it was that guy who was cutting people. Remember?
He
didn't die. Everybody thought he died. He didn't die till like that very end when he was trying to get back in. But he was being greedy. Yeah, it was the same guy.
Yeah, and they thought that they had killed him. And when they touched it, it was wine. It wasn't blood. So they threw him out, and he was just knocked out. That's why he came around to the back like, let me in and some weird shit.
But I think it was him. He was greedy.
Yeah, he was greedy too because he was trying. Yeah. But the twins was greedy too.
I must
they
say,
were stealing from folks.
Not only stealing from folks, but especially Smoke. Smoke didn't want to take the wooden nickels.
He didn't want to take the
real money.
But
because he knew what it was.
Yep.
The people say it was Delta, which is the drunk uncle. They said all Delta did was consume.
Because he was gonna work for them other people, but it was the money. He was drinking. He said it's corn. That's what they lured him with Irish beer.
Even when he almost got killed choking on the garlic because he drank too much of the beer from Chicago. What finally convinces him to go play at the new Jew joint? Not money. Beer.
That's
and
right.
Constantly drinking. Every scene you see him with a flask or a cup.
You're right. You're right. Y'all right.
All right. So greed. Oh, so
that was greed. Wait. No, that was gluttony.
Greed.
So greed would be
the man. The.
Oh, that's right. Greed would be the. Okay.
So yeah, we did talk about that. And it actually says greed is grace. The Korean lady, the Chinese lady. It says now this one's a little more nuanced
because she was
bartering back and
forth. Yep. She was like, no $14, no $15, no.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, $13.50, but and he was like adding the flowers. She was like, all right, good, $14.
And she only did that because they had to paint it in red.
Yep. And we only have one.
Red,
Yep.
the truth,
Yeah, I
one
know that
color.
meaning.
Hello. Okay.
So it says, but notice how, as an agent in the Jim Crow South, she's able to own a store on both the black side of the street and the white side of the street.
Oh, I didn't even catch
Lisa
that.
came across the street. Lisa has a cross.
She
across the
did.
street.
But I didn't realize it was like
It was
one
a separated.
Yeah,
You
it was
see what I'm saying?
separated.
Everyone is fighting over race, and she's making money from both sides.
Ooh.
She's also the one who bargains with Smoke over
Yep.
the fee.
Yep.
Also, I've only seen the film once, but I bet the prices in the windows of the two stores are different based on the race.
Ooh.
So if you've seen it more than once, and you plan on seeing it again, check
But you
the
know what?
prices.
That never caught me. But you know what threw me off is because he shot those guys outside. So I didn't think there
It's
was a.
so
I
much
thought it was
to pay attention to.
Not the white and black side.
I thought it was an all black town.
Ooh,
Okay.
What?
Okay, y'all.
That
Go
threw me
ahead,
off,
internet.
okay?
Interwebs.
Lust. I
Lust.
want to
Oh.
say Sammy Young
And
went behind
Pearly.
the end.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yup.
Yeah.
Sammy
With her little
100%.
whore self. No, she married and wearing that
I don't
dress
care.
and twitching her little
Yes.
self. And then
Talk about wanting to clean. He was like, no, I just want to do
Yeah,
something.
she
real
said,
quick.
let me wipe out. Why you go in the closet then? What you thought he was going to do?
Sammy was looking for the button, boo boo.
Hello, Sammy.
My uncle,
Hit
he's like,
that
my cousin
button.
just taught me this.
What?
Ugh.
Try
Just
it.
told me, let me see.
Wait, but let's also the little mixed girl
Uh-huh.
and what's his name? Because basically Stack put it on. He put it on her,
Put it
and she
on.
wanted to know. She was waiting on him. She was waiting on that thing to come back. A good thing.
Man, she got beat. That's the first thing she wanted. She came back in that club
and beat him.
Yup.
And that, but she knew that was what he was gonna go for.
Yeah.
So that's what it say. Lust was married. The way this
Married.
girl, listen, I love the internet. The internet's so undefeated. The way this girl was in heat, you would have never known her mama just died.
So what? Cause she was.
Her mama just died and she was married. And she was married.
Yes.
If you just do it right.
He said she was trying to jump Stack the second she saw him at the train station.
was mad.
And it's her sexual seduction that
Yes.
ultimately did him in.
Did.
All right, so envy.
Period.
Envy. Well, that could be the guy. He was envious of them. You gonna turn this into a juke junk? But let's see. Envy. Who else wanted something? Somebody.
I want to say Stack.
Bread too.
I want to say Stack.
Uh-huh.
Stack was kind of envious of his brother.
You
Really?
think so?
He did look up to his brother. He did look up to Smoke, but in ways he was envious of Smoke.
Mm-hmm. I you know what?
In ways he was.
Possibly, but I think that with all like.
Siblings.
Especially twins. Hello.
Yeah.
Especially
They fight for their
my own
identity.
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Envy. Okay.
That was a hard
It
one.
says Sammy. Sammy starts the film as Pure. His nickname is literally Preacher Boy, but spends the entire movie in awe of his
One of
cousins.
fame.
He wants to move away like them. He wants to be with women like they have.
I didn't look at that as envy. I kind of looked at that as admiration. I guess. Like looking up to his
he
big
looked up to
cousins.
his
But
big
I
cousins.
guess.
Yeah,
I
I was about
guess.
to say, and the sacrifice that he was making to do so. So I guess it depends on how you view envy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Are you doing this because of the betterment of you, or are you doing it because they got it?
They got it.
They got
and this
it.
what
And
they
they
got.
did.
A lot of people
I wanna be there.
and that's why I even say that a lot of times. This ain't gonna do nothing, but I always say like I get along with men more because men. I don't got nothing for the men to hate on. You know what
That
I'm saying?
part.
So it's like if you have something that they could potentially want, potentially have, you become a target of the envy regardless.
Facts. Okay, what's next?
Pride.
Ooh. So the twins had pride.
Smoke had pride. Smoke had pride.
I think Preacher Boy.
I think Annie had a lot of pride.
Her too.
She
Annie's
had
the
it for
hoodoo lady?
Yes, but I feel like she had it for the right reasons. Though.
Yeah.
Like
But
she
I
was
think-
very prideful in her work and what she believed in.
I think the twins were prideful. I think the twins were prideful because he lost the baby. He was prideful to admit that he was in love with Annie.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Both
and
of
then,
them.
Yeah, and
That's
that's what I
the same
say.
thing,
It's
yeah.
the same thing. He didn't want to admit the love he had for Mary. right?
He did, but he didn't want to because he wanted her to go be with her white husband.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. Pride will be listen.
And be safe.
More men got more pride than anything in the world. And I'm sorry, pride will kill the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Shit, it's a whole lot of prideful women too. I think that's balanced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
thinking
Even when it comes to like friendship.
Yes.
That's true.
But it says Stack. Of the two twins, Stack is the most confident by far. This is shown in many ways throughout the film. The way he saunters through the train station with bravado, when he corrects the white man for calling him boy, and most noticeably through his relationship with Mary. To the outside world, Mary is white, out of his league. There is clearly something about Mary's perceived whiteness and his ability to steal her that makes him proud.
Wow.
And I didn't even view it like that.
Trophy.
And
Ooh.
You know what? We're not going to go into that because I was about to jump somewhere. But no, we're not going to do that.
I have issues with that.
Yeah, we ain't going to do it.
Wrath.
Next. That was it.
Wrath.
Wrath. Angry. Who was angry?
I would say.
I want to say Smoke. He was angry a lot. He killed his father.
Oh, he shot them two dudes?
He shot those two dudes.
I want to say, like, shoot, the devil, the little white family that came because they literally came to steal, kill, and destroy, like, everything.
That's not true. I mean, the white guy who was selling
and Smoke, man. At the end of that movie, Smoke got pulled out them automatic guns and all that.
Hold up, though. Did they really have hand grenades? Oh, I guess I was 19.
Because he also said too. He also said. Remember when he was when he was giving the guy the money, he said, "Let your friends know they come back over here. We gonna kill them."
If we see any of your KKK friends step foot on our property, we're gonna kill them.
He said what he said.
He meant that.
And he took out that Johnny gun. I was like, yes, take that out.
So I say yes. Wrath is Smoke. Smoke is always pulling his gun out. Stack reveals that Smoke is the one that killed their dad to protect him from abuse.
Yep.
Smoke is the one with the shakes, seemingly from all the killing he saw in the war. And obviously Smoke's final moment of carnage against the Klansmen says it all.
Carnage.
Now, I will say this. I do want to add these little two pieces because we didn't even talk about this nor think of it. So it's Annie, the hoodoo lady, and Remick, which is the name that we don't be saying, but that was the devil.
The evil guy.
Yeah, Mr. Evil Guy. It says Annie and Remick live outside of the 7 deadly sins, construct and represent pure love and pure evil. Annie would rather die than become a pawn for Remick.
Yep.
The only character willing to make that sacrifice, pure love. And notice how all the vampires lose their shit when she's killed. More than any other character.
Oh.
Yes. And then it also says Pearline, which was Sammy's little year. It says Pearline lives out of the 7 deadly sins as an object of Sammy's envy. So she was an object of his envy. Some people argue that she is lust, but if you pay attention, she is not driven by sexual desire.
No.
She is pursued. She tells Sammy she married, he persists. She tells him she not clean down there, he persists. Sammy character's envy needs a tangible conquest, and Pearline was the conquest.
Wait a minute, hold up. Wow. So you said Pearline, and you said Annie. So the one that shall not be named. I'm gonna just say this real quick because we talked about this in earnest in the other clip that got corrupted. But you know how it talks about Lucifer being the morning light in the Bible, and it also talks about Jesus being the light of the morning, the morning angel, morning star, bright morning star, yada yada. So the question was, because that's what I jumped into on the red and blue about. Was he really a bad guy? Yes. Because he brought them the truth. He brought them the truth and told them, what did you think this was? This is his nephew right here. Yeah. They never was gonna let you have this shit. They don't care about you. They coming to kill you in the morning. Why don't you join us? We're all connected.
We all family.
We talked about the Prince of the Air when Lucifer got kicked out, or Satan or whatever, and we also talked about how there was no devil in the Bible. originally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that alone because I know that a lot of us,
some homework.
you know,
Yes.
but that's some homework.
Yes.
Y'all do your research
Do your
because
research.
we have been framed, we have been taught, we have been told things, and we didn't question it at all. And in this age of information, y'all keep these, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Y'all keep these scrying. Y'all keep these scrying things. You see that black screen? Remember that movie? Y'all, what do they say? Witches use a scrying, I can't think of the other word, but that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all the computer is. When they scry or when they looked into the crystal ball, they were seeing the future. They were getting information. What y'all carry in y'all hand? You ask Google, you ask Siri, you ask ChatGPT, all of that. So I say all of that to say be responsible with the technology that is in your hand. It's not all negative. It's how you choose to use it. These things are tools.
Yeah.
And you can use any tool for good. You can use a hatchet to chop wood. You can use a hatchet to chop somebody's head off. It is your intent, your choice in how you utilize the tool. So don't blame the internet. Blame the way that you choose to use the internet. So
now in that segment, let me tell you, we are going to be talking about Men's Health Month, right? So
men's mental health.
Men's mental health.
And like she said, even when she was talking about the X, the good and the bad, I think that like even when we was talking about Stack and Smoke, it represented that yin and yang. So that's y'all homework to see like, was this really a representation of like two different people, or is this the struggle that our men have to go through every single day? All the choices that they face, all the challenges that they face. Do they choose the good or bad? Do they choose the yin or the yang?
Do they choose the comfort, or do they choose the truth? The red or the illusion.
So, like she said, we're going to be diving into men's mental health, but I want y'all to look into that and think about that.
Yes. Join us for 4 more episodes this month where we have men coming in and we're talking to men and we are getting their perspective because the male perspective is important. And we want y'all to know that this is a podcast with 4 women, the number 4, but it's not just 4 F-O-R women, homonyms. We all up on our English game tonight. But we want you to tune in because this is about the men and their mental health, because we know a lot of our men, minority men, will not go to a therapist. They will not seek help outside of themselves. And we want to talk about that and the impact, and as well as how it is reflected in children as well. Right?
And for children, relationships, how it plays a part overall in your life, right? Right. That healing, change. Like you need to heal yourself and how you move it forward, right? They carry your baggage in that healing.
Exactly, in every aspect of your life. So
we're gonna be unpacking.
We're gonna be unpacking. We're gonna be providing resources. And
Keep
so
back.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this month. We are gonna take a little pause on the men. Well, on Juneteenth, we're gonna turn it. But outside of that, men, I look forward to celebrating y'all this month.
All right.
Till next week.
All right.
Bye.